What's happening, y'all? What is going on? Here we are. Here we are. Man, oh man, we are back. We are back for week two. Week two of Systems Lab Live, the September 11th edition. Week two, session two of the Content Operations Playbook. Here we are. We are live from YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm your host, Ashley Schuler. Excited to be here with you all today. It's a great Monday. I hope everybody is having a great start to the week. And even if you are not, because some of you may say that Monday, Ashley, was a little tough, I've come to tell you that you need to take it day by day. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better. But now that we're here tonight, let's stay in the present, shall we? What's going on, Rocks Talks? We're going to be talking here tonight about content as a product. But before we get into the mix of things, I just want to say hello and welcome to the Systems Lab Live. It's wonderful to see you all here on this lovely Monday. We're here each and every day. First timers, what's up? We're here each and every week. What we do here is we talk about leading projects, managing teams, and developing processes. This is the only live stream dedicated to project managers, project leaders all across industries, coming here every week to discuss how we navigate this thing called people, process, technology. How do we work better? How do we go about doing the work well? And that, my friends, excites me each and every week. Each and every week. This is a great topic for the month of September. Many people have inquired about this. I've gotten like some good like plugs and some buzzes to say, hey, I'd love for you to do something on the content piece of it. I believe truly in believing in revealing and seeing the intersection of how we apply project management to various different types of projects that we may not even, and even industries that we may not even see an obvious intersection. And I love to talk about content, the creator's economy, podcasting, everything in between. In fact, I will be at Afros in Audio next month in Baltimore, talking about how to streamline your content workflows. Again, one of my fave subjects. I'm telling you, nothing I love more. Well, there's actually many things. I'm going to lie, because there's just a lot of things that, quite frankly, just excite me. Okay? Nothing like a good discussion on how people can stay organized, be organized. We're talking about people who are, going to create programs, projects, and initiatives. I'm telling you, folks, my bread, my butter, it is something that just excites me. I tell you what. So that's what we're doing this month. We also have what I love to call the PM monthly exchange. If you are a project leader out there and you want to come spend a little more time with myself and other project managers, we are in a Zoom room with ourselves. I teach a little, I talk a little. I have you all talk and also present, share ideas as well. And we just walk through a topic. And yeah, it's good. I think that we should come together and talk about the everyday work, because we're all doing it. And I like to create more robust conversations on that. So that's what's going on there. I'm really excited because I am focusing on two particular things I want to do this week. Well, number one, I got a cool digital product coming out called the Next Gen Digital Project Manager Playbook. It's going to be housed within Coda.io. I've been using that for the past 7 months. February is number 2. Okay, month 2, and then September is month 9. So that's 7. 9 minus 2 is 7. Come on, math. Come on, math. So I've been using it since late February up until now. I absolutely love Coda, and it is a really cool tool. If you ask me, is it just like Notion? Those apps are like twinsies, except there's a few distinct differences. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I think you can use both, you can like both. I don't know if I will ever completely move off of Notion right now. I'm using it now as a, oops, my little watch fell off. I'm using it right now for a writing tool and everything, but anything that is operations, like I'm creating like my own business playbook. So, and it's really cool. I love it a lot. And yeah, so that's all I got to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. I may do podcasting in there or I may not, but we'll see. But that's the second thing I'm going to be working on this week is I need to really make some headway with some podcast content. I have to do that. Excuse me. Good to see you, Tiffany. Okay. So on the screen, on the visuals, welcome to the Systems Lab Live. I'd love for you to put your name, your location, and tell me what you're working on this week. I love to ask my text community this. If you text hashtag PM Huddle to 626-722-5444, I text you every week. So it is hashtag P as in Peter, M as in Mary, and huddle, like you huddle, to 626-722-5444. And you get an audio course from me. And then you can sign up for all the things, all the things. So yeah, I usually ask my people, how are you doing? And like, what are you working on? What you working on? I think it's always fun to hear about projects that people are working on and like, what they're learning and like what they're navigating and things like that. So, yeah, that's the fun part about it all. So that's one thing I'm working on, y'all, is this digital playbook. Almost done. I got some templates to put in there. But it's pretty sweet. It's an interactive guide all on the three things that I am seeing as what does it take to be a next gen digital PM, leadership, strategy, and execution. And so it's a great opportunity to start to zero in on those key qualities. What's cool about the next gen digital PM is that I'm looking to pull in those that are, they may not even call themselves PMs, but they're like handling their business and they're like doing the work and they're executing. And then those are called PMs. It's for you too. Oh, look who it is. Lady RJ is in the house. Great to see you. Great to see you. Anything fun you're working on? Would love to know that. Anything fun that you're working on? Well, folks, I want to get to the agenda. This particular agenda is powered by Miro, especially if you are on LinkedIn or YouTube. Always can catch the replay there. And we are going to talk about today content as a product. That is the main focus of today. But we will be rolling through and talking about Loom and their productivity report that they have. I have a few items that I wanted to talk about before we close out the report, which will be next week. We'll be talking about AI and communication, and and how it can help us. So my personal, and we'll probably talk about that next week about my personal thing with AI. But I've been learning a lot about how startups have been using AI for social good. If you know me personally, but those of you who don't know me personally, which is fine, you don't have to know me personally, but for me, a huge thing is I love it. I love people giving back and this aspect of creating something that is bigger than yourself. So I'm always going to be someone that is about community, volunteering, underserved communities. That's like the crux of A. Schuler. The crux of A. Schuler is about people and about how to help and pull up underrepresented groups, especially those that experiencing poverty, homelessness, and formerly incarcerated, currently incarcerated persons, justice involved individuals, things like that. I like to hear about how technology can be used for good. So, on the AI tip, I love it. Now, how it's being used in some of our day to day, muy interesante. So, I'm in the middle of reading, and I will always admit this. Ashley Schuler in reading, I'm a bit of a slow reader. Okay. I have read probably about a total of 3 books in totality this year, but I read a lot of articles. I do read. I just read a lot of articles. But I have a few things I need to jump back into. One is about is an AI book called Scary Smart by Mo Gawat. It's an excellent read so far. I really, really like it. I have another book. Let me show it to you. Upper Hand by Sherelle Dorsey. Shout out to Sherelle Dorsey, who is such a awesome entrepreneur. She is someone who's in the tech space, someone that I really, really have enjoyed watching what she does. We got her book, The Future of Work, for the rest of us, Upper Hand. So we're gonna be reading that too. So she got some really cool things as well. And then I got this other book too. Because one thing about me, I will stay ordering a book. Managing multiple projects. I got that. I need to be on the up and up. So as we have this live stream, as I grow, we all growing. Come on, somebody. Okay. Love AI and its potential. Like every tool, it depends on how it's used. Ooh, that's it right there. It's dependent on how it's used. And I feel like it's intention too. Okay. I love it. I'm glad that we are on the same page as well. Okay. Very, very good. Okay. So I told you about Afros and audio. If you go to my solo.2 link on IG, I don't know if I put it in the little show notes thing. I keep forgetting to do that, but it's there. Afros and audio speaking there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. PM monthly exchange. Get the text message. Come hang with me on the 28th. Oh, let's talk project management. Come on through. Come on through. Playbook is on its way. Podcast will also be loading too. I'm excited. I feel like it's gonna be some good stuff to talk about. Project debrief, I think, is gonna be the theme. I'm gonna pray about it some more. I feel like I got some really, really good topics on there. Basically, I want to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of projects that people have worked on, what they've learned, tools they've used, how they've communicated, what were the blunders, what were things that surprised them. I think it'll be a really, really fun one. And it'll probably be 10 to 12 episodes, Netflix limited series style. So I might want to pick, depending on the episode length, maybe 5 to 6 people. I feel like that's doable. So we'll see. I'm gonna make a list. So I'm excited all about that. What is going on? Okay, what is this little thing? Okay, sorry. Thought something was flying. Come on. You can't have nothing flying. All right. I think that's it for me. we just gonna get into this Loom report. It's good to see you. Let's talk project management. Love to know what you're working on. We're talking about this Loom report. We gonna get into it. So one of the things in this Loom report I thought was so interesting is it's called the Mind the Gap Communication Report. Also, let me bring up my PDF to make sure that that's exactly what it's called. I feel Mind the Gap Communication, Mind the Communication Gap. This is by Loom, which is a screen sharing async communication tool. How communication overload is derailing workplace productivity. Communication, I got a pod season, all of that. Okay? It's good stuff, people. Conversations with Ask Ash. It's good stuff. Okay. Let's talk. The Slack problem. Two things that people really are kind of like annoyed about is duplicative messages. Okay? I actually really love Slack. I think it's a cool tool. I really like it. I think it's great if you want to manage a community among professionals, creatives, your team members. I'm down with the Slack movement. Okay? I think that there always should be a communications plan. There should be rules of order and conduct, X, Y, and a Z, on how you want to use Slack. There's so many new features. Even with that, y'all, I think I got some emails today. They have redesigned Slack apparently. It's like a whole thing. It's a whole movement now. So I'm actually I'm gonna see if I can log into it as well. Okay, they're also having experience the magic of Dreamforce, AI data CRM. You know, truth be told, people, I low key wish I could go to some of these, like just fly around to conferences. Like, can that just be my life? Can that just be my life? There's like so many really cool conferences. I can't wait. Maybe one day I'll be going to like the Blavity one. Not the Blavity one. It's Afrotech. And everything. But yeah. I have to see how they've if they've done something different. But anyway, duplicative messages, that's like a huge deal. People like don't like that. They say 45% of employees say communicating is the most mentally taxing part of their job, which I would say it is. I'm like not going to deny that. This aspect of communicating over a messaging app and going back and forth, sometimes you just got to pick up the phone or send the video chat thing and keep it pushing. Sometimes you got to do it, y'all. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say about that. But it is, right? Because I mean, but I think about the way life used to be pre-pandemic vibes. We spent a lot of time going desk to desk. We spent a lot of time on conference calls talking. And so I think that's part of it, is the fact that it just became harder to talk virtually. So knowing how to kind of do this thing called async and synchronous communication, really became a feat, I think, for people, right? I think it became a feat. So one thing that I would absolutely recommend is that if you're working with clients, if you're working with team members, set a few rules about how you're going to use Slack. Set a few rules, right? I think that helps. That helps team members. That helps people understand what you should use it for, when you should use it, setting up the proper channels. Don't sit there and don't be slack, so to speak, on that. Also too, people have said that the constant pings cause stress. Too many messages, hard to keep up. I think you should think about who you're communicating with and why. Okay. 55% say they need a mental break in the workday because of communication stress. Okay. That's a lot. So if you have a team of 30, that means 15 people, which is a lot. If you have 400, that means 200 people are saying, or a little over 200, need a mental break in the workday because of communication stress. All because of Slack. No, not all because of Slack. It is because we have not placed a premium on owning the fact that our communication is not only important, but it should be streamlined. We should be able to put a framework around it. I would think, by this time, we all should get it. But I also recognize that you only know what you know until you are in the situation. Okay? Until you are in the situation. Sometimes you just know what you know. Okay? Does that make sense, y'all? Y'all put a comment in. Does that make sense? Woo! Let's zoom in on this, shall we? This is a long quote, but I think it's worth reading. Empower your team to know when work should be synchronous and what's better handled asynchronously. Let's break that down sentence by sentence, shall we? So one way to start is by building a framework based upon your team's how we work values and employer mission. We just said that. We just said people should have some rules. Have some rules about how to use Slack, what we should communicate, why we're communicating, all the things. And in fact, in my communications plan, which is going to be in the playbook that I'll be selling soon, you're going to have like a communications guide, and you can build that into your ClickUp doc, and you can begin to think about it. So I'm giving starter packs. I got like 3 starter packs that I am giving out to people and for the playbook. So it should be it's good. It's good. It's good. Shakira Cade is in the building. But yeah, for example, at Loom, we believe explanation and presentation is best suited for asynchronous channels, whereas group decision making and active discussion about priorities are more suited for synchronous conversation. Okay. You got to know your people. You got to know your culture. If everyone on your team is making strategic choices about the synchronous and async time, it can have a significant impact on productivity. But it's everybody got to have the mindset. Everybody got to have the mindset. Let's go. This is good stuff, y'all. What else did we got? What else did I pull out? That was it. Next week, we talk about AI. Where can you find the report? I just thought of that. Okay, hold on. Hold it. Loom, Mind the Gap. Hold on. Was this it? I think this is it. I don't know if I can post it. Well, I think I can post it here. It'll show up on the YouTube. There you go. Loom.com/blog/new data communication overload. I should have put the link in the little notes description thingy, right? Probably. Can I edit it? Okay, we got to think about that for next time. Okay, content operations playbook part 2. Oh, we're kind of timely, aren't we? It's 8:28. We're going to get it in today. Content as a product. Content as a product. Content as a product. Hey, hey. Content as a product. What do you think that means, y'all? Put something in the chat. Put something in the chat. What y'all think about content as a product? What do you think I mean by that? Okay. That's all right. No pressure. Hold on. I'm going to pull up some notes to make sure I am referencing everything I need to reference for this. Shout out to Coda. All my live streaming stuff here. The Next Gen Digital PM. Ooh. Oh, notes. Okay. You guys ready? We ready to rock and roll. But I just want to give y'all a couple minutes just in case you had some thoughts about content as a product. Here we go. Here we go. Oh no. Hold on, people. Sometimes I can get a good old double click on. That's one thing about me. I'm gonna get a little double click. Okay. I think we're here. Okay, perfect. That looks good. All right, y'all. Content like a product is when you shift your mindset from completing projects to maintaining a product, taking into consider user and their feedback. So, from a product perspective, let's just think about products that you buy. Toothpaste, deodorant, Apple computers, Apple Beats, AirPods, iPhone, products. Well, name a product. I don't have to name 50 of them, but name a product. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So when we talk about product, we're talking about anything a business that solves a market problem or addresses a customer's need or desire. And that, my friends, is what shifting the mindset of thinking of content as a product. I'm going to tell you, we're going to weave in some personal stories because I know that when I started creating content, I was thinking, not that it's a bad thing. Okay. It's not like you've been thinking wrong, but it's just adopting a new way of thinking about your content. I used to think about it as post and go, post and go, post and go. Right. And so I needed to start thinking about the content that I was producing from a different standpoint. And it took a minute. And I didn't get this realization until I decided about, maybe this was like probably March of last year or so. I decided that I wanted to go and dive deep into product development, agile marketing, all those types of things, right? And I started to think to myself because, hey, I've been working in the PM space for a long time, but I really liked the way product and the way agile really centers in and focuses on the user and the people, right? And so I love the concept of like sprints and the concept of like, how like even like the Content Marketing Institute produces content. So I started putting together pieces of like, I think we should be thinking about our content like a product. I know for myself, I would just churn, baby, churn content 3 times a day, 5 days a week. I was doing that for several months. My Airtable base is full. That Airtable knowledge management is full of content, but thinking of it as individual pieces and not like a product. meaning taking into account my audience, my community, what their needs are, what their feedback is. You know what I'm saying? So even Systems Lab Live, this live show is a product where I want to hear from y'all, and I like to check in from y'all. Like, listen, what y'all like about it? What y'all don't like about it? I love to get the feedback, and sometimes I get it unsolicited, which I love, because I'm just like, you better come through giving me the feedback. What's going on? I am Rosalind. How are you? Yeah, you too. You give me some feedback, because this is a product. And so when I think about Systems Lab Live, it was actually behind a Zoom wall. That in March 2020, I started Systems Lab, and then I had another live stream called the Playbook on Instagram. I did that. I did both of those on Sundays for like a year and a half. Boom, boom, boom. Boy, oh boy, was I churning. Okay. And so if I think about it, I was doing the content like a product before I was even thinking about it. So check it. I decided it's time to step out from the Zoom and go and put this on YouTube, right? Based upon some feedback, based upon this aspect of growing the brand and all that good stuff. So here I am with y'all. Okay. Here I am with y'all. Okay. October 2021. October 2021. That's when I took it. That's when I took it to YouTube land. Hello. Oh man. And then this October will be 2 years on the YouTube. Come on. Let's clap it up. But anyway, taking into account this live show, the format, what people liked, what topics that they liked, modifying it, getting the feedback, all of it. All of it. Does that make sense, y'all? A product can be physical, virtual, or even a service, by the way. Okay? Let me go back one. I want to make sure that we make it make sense. So, number one, when you think about what a product is, it's anything a business sells that solves a market problem or addresses a customer's need or desire. It can be physical, virtual, or even a service. What is content? Systems Lab Live, podcasts, conversations with Ask Ash, a LinkedIn carousel, a video, an Apple Notes posted to IG, a tweet, a thread, a IG story, a video, a live stream. Okay? So putting these two things together says, is your content solving a problem or addressing a customer's desire or need? Now, I'm going to say this, folks, because we're coming from a very operational standpoint. We're not talking about it from like a, I'm going to teach you how to create content. Okay? Because this concept is out there, but I'm diving into, especially those that are online business managers, especially those that are project leaders, those that are really, diving into really operationalize this work that they're doing. I want you to zero in on how you can think through making your content like a product. Okay? I love it. So that's my experience with content. I was churning out the pieces and everything. And so I started to turn my attention into having a body of work, understanding what my audience needed, avatar, the particular niche, the problems that I was solving, the pain points, the burning questions, the intended outcomes. And so that became super helpful. So let's break this down even more, shall we? We shall. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, content as a product, what we're looking at is 3 areas: intended for customers or your community, created to provide benefits to a market, exchange for value. Let's break each of these down, shall we? The characteristics of a product. Again, content as a product. Let's think about our mindset with that. So, here's what we know to be true. What's happening, Jason, is that when we think about our content as a product, we want to make it distinct. Okay, that we are producing it for our audience, for our team, or for our well, you can call your community your team members, I guess, but your community, your people. So whatever I produce, like for Systems Lab live content, is not for me. It's for you. It's for you. Okay. Because the people have spoken and the people have said, hey, I'd love for you to start talking about the content piece, the operation side of it. So when you start thinking about your content, shout out to the podcasters out there, your podcast is a product. All right. It's intended to be marketed and intended for your listeners to solve something, right? It's created to provide benefits to the market. All right. So, how is it going to, as I think about revamping my own podcast, is it going to meet the needs? How is it going to benefit? How is it going to bring some sort of advantage? How? What's going on, All Things Black Podcast? It's great to see you. How does that podcast create a benefit? Okay. Right. And it's exchanged for value. So just like money has value, products and pricing, okay? The podcast, what you're creating for exposure, for feedback, other forms of value. So think through that when we're thinking through the aspect of content as a product. It's intended for your audience. It's intended for a group of people. What are you saying? What's the message? What are you solving for? It's created to provide benefits to the market, to your industry. What is it that you are specifically offering and what is it that it solves? And then it's exchange for value. What is that value exchange when it comes to the podcast, when it comes to the content that you are producing? Now, some of you all might be doing some of this unknowingly, okay? Or some of you might be doing this knowingly. You guys might be on the same page, right? But we want to build upon this each and every single week because we talked about last week, we talked about content ops and we talked about people, process, and technology. And now we're focusing in on how we can view our content as a product. This is good stuff. So as I start to look at my podcast specifically, it's a product. Conversations with Ask Ash, soon to be renamed. I don't know what it will be unless someone says keep it. The Conversations with Ask Ash is a product. And so this week, I'm challenged. This week, I'm diving in deep to get an understanding of what this particular, who it's for, right? And I've mapped some things out. If you go to my solo.2/Ashley Schuler, you can actually see the Miro board of how I'm mapping this whole thing out. What's the benefit going to be in terms of what I'm going to provide this audience of project managers, project leaders, online business managers that are going to come into this space? What's going to be the benefit? What does that look like? Exchange for value. Okay. So how, as the product, what is that value going to be? And there's going to be some intentionality behind the podcast content and what are the next steps that you can take. So I'm going to be thinking through that really, really strategically. Shout out to what was a company I took the podcasting class, but I love it. They're a cool bunch. Okay. We're going to move on to one of the next things. The elements of content as a product. We're just kind of referencing some of the elements. So these are some of the things that I have picked up. It's the user, the content itself, the strategy, and how to ship the content. In the product world, that is the shipping is how you go and launch the actual product itself. So when we think about the shipping of content, the user, okay, who is your intended audience? The pain points. Tap in and keep it moving. 41. Who are these individuals or that person or entity? Who is that person? Pain points and such. Okay, the user. So one of the ways that I have started doing this is I have a weekly worksheet that I fill out. Weekly worksheet. We got the full on. We have the full on worksheet that I fill out with the avatar name, and it has a series of questions. It has a series of questions in which I'm answering about what the actual content is, what I'm solving for, the strategy behind it, and again, this aspect of how to ship the content. How to ship the content. So I think that's super, super important that we kind of look at it in that way. All right. So we're looking at the content itself. Okay. So that's what you're producing. That's what you're producing. So that's the podcast. That's video, audio. That is your TikToks, your IG things. What else is out there? Your live stream shows. All the things, right? Okay. Then you also have the strategy. We learned last time that operations and strategy are vastly different. Operations gets into the process, what happens beginning, middle, and end to a piece of content from start to finish. And then strategy is everything else. It is the pain points. It's the user story. It is everything in between. It is the messaging. It's the pillars. So it's all these elements. How to ship the content really focuses on how you're going about packaging it all up, really beginning to think through its positioning, thinking through platforms, thinking through where it actually is going to land. You're going to look at the process. So before we get into all of that, put any type of questions that you guys all have in the chat about this aspect of content as a product. So you look as a user, you're looking at your avatar, your audience, and your community. So that's one piece of it. When you look at the content, you're looking through what you're creating. What you're creating for the week, for the day, however it is that you do it. When you look at the strategy, this is looking at the business goals. This is looking at the messaging pillars. This is looking at the format. This is where you're looking at analytics and seeing what content and what platform and what resonates best. When you're looking at how to ship the content, you're looking at how you're going to launch it. What's the steps? What's the process? So the word ship, how to ship, I'm going to type it in here, how to ship. That's the terminology when you're shipping, how to launch it. So you want to think through. So when you are, for instance, looking at a digital product, you got the content piece, the product, you cut the product content. You want to think through the format. You want to think about what's being created. You want to think about the step-by-step process, what needs to be created, how it's reviewed. You want to put all the pieces together. And then you want to think about the days of the week. You want to think about, if you're doing a collaboration with somebody, you want to think through the captions and what's written. So how to ship the content. That's when you can really lean into the creative part of it, especially when you're leaning into the creative process of it. So how are you going to ship it? You've created a reel. You created a podcast episode. So the question is, how do you ship it? Do you just post? Some people can do that, right? But some people really look at it and say, okay, let me put some teasers out there. Let me start to tease by putting out clips and making an anticipation before the actual episode drops. Right? So that's how you're going to ship the content. So for that purposes of a podcast episode dropping, you have the particular day of the week. You have, the time. You already know the episode. So now it's creating content that supports the actual episode dropping. And from there, you are looking at, how do I hype it up? How do I hype up the actual content that's being produced? So that's the whole premise of the content as a product piece. Really looking at those particular areas. Now, when you want to think through, how do you actually go about the implementation of this? Like, what does it look like moving on from here? Okay. Because that's a good segment into the action lab piece. So as you start to rethink the content, you want to look at a few things. Number one, now you're looking at and revisiting the intent of the content for the customers, the intention. You want to look at how it's created a benefit for the market, its exchange for the value. So when we looked at those pieces, and I'm going to refer back to the notes on this one, you want to look at it from, how does the content as you produce it, how does it differentiate between anything else you may produce? So even if you were in the same industry, how does your content differ from another person that's in the exact same field? They even may be talking about some of the similar talking points. But when you're producing the content for your audience, let's talk through and think through that differentiating factor. How is it going to differentiate? Now, this has to be created to provide benefits to a market. So from a product perspective, like Colgate or deodorant or whatnot, you're looking at how you can provide an advantage. So how is it that your piece of content that's even in the same industry, how can you provide that advantage? And then exchanged for value. When it's being produced, when it's being put out there, what's the exchange? Is it feedback? Is it exposure? What does that look like? So a few things that I think you can do practically, taking a step back, is you can start to look at your content strategy. You can start to also look at the operations as a whole and start to really dial into how you're looking at the different aspects of your content. It doesn't have to be something that you're doing for, like, you don't have to revamp it like all at once, but you can start with your podcast. You can start with your Instagram content or your LinkedIn content, or your live streaming content or whatnot. So you can start looking at it and you can start creating and saying to yourself, okay, let me get my strategy, right? Because that complements the people, process, and the technology piece, that operational piece. So you can start thinking through, all right, as a product, let me look at the user. Let me look at the content. Let me look at the strategy. Let me look at, let me go back to this piece of it. Oops. Yeah, let me look at the content, the user, the strategy, how we're going to ship it. So being able to look at that will really help you to shape and to frame the content in itself. And that helps to think through your process, right? It helps you to think through, what the actual workflow is like, which is what we're going to look out for the rest of the last 2 weeks. We're going to look at the workflow. So everything else will piece together. Everything else will help you to see, again, overall. Last week you talked about operations overall. What does that look like? How to think about your content like a product. And then we're going to pull it together with the workflow, which is going to be the step-by-step process of how you go about creating a workflow for your content. So we're going to look at it from a podcasting perspective. We'll also look at it from, producing other types of content as well. What does that mean? Can you have a backlog of content, taking a more agile approach? So we're going to look at it from a few different perspectives. That should be really good. And so we thank you so much. We are right on time, folks. Right on time. We thank you all for tuning in tonight. I do see, yes. Oh, I do see. This little live request went away. Now, Hydera 5337. Won't be any guest lives today. We thank you so much for that request. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in for the Systems Lab Live. Feel free, send me some comments, DM, some questions that you have about this, things that you're thinking through. We were thinking about content as a product. Join me next Monday and the Monday after. We're talking all things workflows. We're talking all things how to streamline, how to create, and how to make the process better. And so this has been great. Talk to you soon. Be sure to share this live stream with 3 people. Text PM Huddle to 626-722-5444. We'll take more of a deep dive on the 28th when we have the PM Monthly Exchange, where we're going to talk more about this, but we're going to talk a little bit more in depth, answer some questions, and exchange some really good information. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye.